G'day, people. Here we are, Filmmaker Friday. Filmmaker Friday 2, reboot of my interview with Taz Garcia. Look, this is probably one of the favourite interviews I've actually done, so I am pretty excited. Whilst it's been a little bit of a stressful afternoon, and we're looking forward to chatting with David. This is a great interview. I had planned to stream it on here at some point anyway, so I thought, why not just do it today, so at least you guys have got a little bit of something extra, whether you're watching via YouTube or tuning in on Facebook Live. For anybody who does pop in, let me know where you are and what's happening, how your week's been. And we're going to do this over 2 parts. So it's Filmmaker Friday Part 2, reboot Part 1 of 2. So we're going to actually do it in a couple of half-hour segments, which also is just a bit of an experiment. And it's because I have kids and I need to be out of here before 6, and all the people that don't have kids are probably going to dinner or, getting ready to go out dancing all night or something, whatever you do. Can't really remember. Well, I can't remember. I'm just choosing not to. All right, here we go. It should be fun, actually. I haven't seen it. Here he is, the man himself, Taz Garcia. Actor, stuntman, filmmaker, multi-award winner, and just a really nice guy. So away we go. Oh, yeah. It helps if you're actually pressing the Instagram button. I was pressing the play button on here. I should just keep these things to myself, but there you go.
G'day everybody, welcome back to episode 2 of Filmmaker Friday. Sorry, I thought I'd got every light. There's a few.
Great, get it together.
There we go.
I can heckle myself.
And freckles that are getting worse. It's the trade-off of getting out in the surf is that the skin cops a bit of a beating. So look, really excited today. We've got Tazito Garcia joining us, actor, director, model. I mean, this guy, ex-professional sports player, black belt karate. He's, kung fu master, Grecian wrestling, if I've said that the right way, and does capoeira. So he's, he's done pretty much every role that you could probably think of when it comes to being on a movie set. If you check out his imdb, and it's Tazito, Tazito, Garcia, Garcia. So, yeah, look, and on top of that, he does a whole heap of things in the philanthropy space, the not-for-profit arena, working with schools and kids and what have you. So he's someone who has a big heart. And I think it's clear, I mean, you would have seen in the promotional picture there that he knows Jackie Chan, has worked with Jackie Chan, and in fact is even doing some things with Jackie Chan's foundation, Build a House for $1, which I'm really interested to find out a bit more about. So kind of one of those guys that, I guess you see everything they've done and they think, gee, they've done a lot. G'day, Angela, how are you? Thanks for joining us today. Hello, Donna Hay Kitchen Garden. Thanks for joining us. I've just been talking a little bit about our guest today, Canadian Toronto actor, all-rounder, Taz Garcia. And just waiting actually for him to pop in. Bear with me 1 second, and I'm just going to just check in. Okay.
See, even some tech times there. Well, I think with COVID and everybody trying to up their game in terms of their live stream. There's probably lots of you in the corporate world who can feel the pain and frustration of things going wrong live.
Sorry, watching somebody type, probably not that exciting.
No, it's not the least.
I was giving, I've lost somebody in that process. They're like, oh my God, I'm not going to sit here watching this guy type. All right, well, let me know who's here. I'm interested to know whether it's still Angela or still Donna Hay Kitchen. This is one of the downsides of this live shenanigans, is that you really have to, I guess, be on your toes to handle sometimes technical challenges and other bits and pieces like that.
Yes, you do,
I was giving Megs D, my friend in Canada, a hard time last night. Well, it was their night time, our daytime, and because she was sitting there waiting. She was waiting for her guest to arrive, which is actually a girl from San Francisco. Thanks, Donna Hay, for letting me know that's you. And girl from wasn't there. Megs was just sitting there looking at the screen. I was like, is this a steering competition? Oh, g'day, Taz. Thank you. Here he is. All right, good stuff. So I will hop off my virtual pedaling bike here that I was treading water on, and we'll actually get cracking with the show. Apologies. We probably should have ironed this out a little bit smoother beforehand, but all right, look, it just keeps my brain working, so that's fine. And on. Now, Tazito, you won't have heard the big spiel, but g'day, mate. How you going?
Hello. How's it going?
Yeah, good, man. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, thanks for having me. Let's have a blast.
Yeah. Look, you are. I was just saying on the intro, you're a bit of a you're like a massive all-rounder. Like you're one of these people that you come across people sometimes, and then you look at everything they've done, and then you think, shit, like what have I done? It's pretty impressive. You know, you've got the acting, the directing. You've done a bunch of other roles I could see in IMDb. Ex-pro athlete. You've done the philanthropy thing. You've got the Colgate smile. Yeah, and I'm only, I hope that you just get the Australian sense of humour. I'm only pulling that out because it was already highlighted in the fun facts on IMDb. So, and thank you for joining us. Like, I know it's 10 o'clock or something like that over there at the moment, so it's not the earliest part of the day. So, right. Yeah, I'm just really keen to, I guess, dig into your story. I like to go all the way back, from I guess childhood through to current day. So when you were a kid, I know that you mentioned you did a little bit of acting. So was acting always on the radar for you? Like, at what point did that sort of become a thing, and did it stay constant throughout your journey, or did you drift into other directions?
I'll tell you something. It was something that I always wanted to do, and I always wanted to entertain people. I think that's the seed of it, the core, the entertainment aspect. So when you grow around, parents that are very, by the book, and they're very stern, and they're very kind of like, okay, after school, there's college, university. After that, you go through your academic side of the career world. And, it's basically the very traditional way of life. And nothing against that at all. But I had this little voice in the back of my head that was like, you know what? You can do it. You can do it. And while I put the acting on, or the performing on a hiatus, I ended up doing professional sports. So I played professional soccer and I played professional tennis. And both of them were very similar to how the acting industry works, which is you have your fans, you got to be hot. You got to be not hot as in this, but you got to be hot. You got to be relevant. You got to be always pushing to be your best, deliver your best, or you lose your fans. You lose the interest. Someone else that's hungrier than you, hustling, grinding day in, day out, gets that wow factor over you, right? And basically, we use the audience or the fans as a gauge, as a compass. where it was like, okay, you hear the boos, all right, less of that. You hear the yays, more of that. And, there was no days off, there was no shortcuts, and you needed to be ready. You needed to be in a form where you earned your position as a starter, right? You needed to be informed to make sure that nobody had anything to say, because people love to create that kind of drama around you. What's going on with your life, your body, your physique, all that, the changes, positive or negative. And that's why I said, you know what, transitioning into the acting or the entertainment industry is going to be very easy for me, because I brought in that mindset and that grind, that hustle. There's no shortcuts. And when you're ready, you're just waiting on that opportunity to come knocking. And when it knocks ready, it's not like, hey, hold on a second. You know what? Thank you for the opportunity, but give me 2 weeks, give me a month, and I'll be back in tip-top shape. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of the hustle and the grind mindset that I brought with me from the professional side of things, or professional sports kind of thing. And when I went the academic route, and I went into corporate, and I did the whole, majors and minors and everything. And I was like, man, there's more out there. There's a lot more out there. And I remember it was one of my final years when I booked a gig, which was actually going to shoot partially in Australia and partially in New Zealand. And it was the Power Rangers series. And that's one of the main reasons why I even got into martial arts, right?
Yeah, right. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, but it never came through. It never happened for tons of reasons. But I knew it was there. So, when you kind of smell that finish line or start line, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is it. I'm going to pursue it. Right? Yeah. And from there, one class after the other, and, networking and student films and low budget films and baby steps all the way to the top. And then that's it. Yeah.
Yes. Now, we could hang up now that would end the story, but we definitely won't. I think we'll unpack some of that further. But thank you for, going through the run through. So that's really, I didn't see that one coming when it came to the martial arts side of things, because I did mention in the intro, and for people joining us now who don't already know, I believe you go by Taz. Is that right?
Yep, Taz. Yeah. Like the Tasmanian devil.
Taz, okay.
I'm surprised you're the first one that didn't say that.
Taz, okay. Yes. Yep. So Taz, on top of being an actor and a director and stuntman, which I really admire that you do your own stunts. On top of that, he's black belt in karate. I think maybe 5 things, whatever they are, 5 levels through in kung fu. I'm not sure. Might correct me on that. And Greco-Grecian wrestling and capoeira, which I love capoeira. Actually, I just really enjoy the whole the playful dancing, spinning sort of. Yeah, it's a cool thing. So
look back here, you're going to see part of the main instrument of the capoeira martial art, or the art, because I think it's a little more than a martial art. So yeah, but it's a very interesting form, and definitely one that I never saw myself doing for the longest time, coming from like that kind of very stiff form. There was a very unorthodox style I trained in as well, which Jackie Chan made famous, which was, you have the snake and the tiger and the dragon, that kind of thing. But then when it came to capoeira, I was like, oh yeah, the breakdance fighting. Until it was like a whack across the face. I was like, oh, you could actually, okay. All right, tell me more. And it was about the whole slavery and how they used it to disguise their training. And it made a lot of sense. And it's beautiful to see a lot of people still think that it is a dance, because they did something really well from way back.
Yeah.
Right? It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that that I guess heritage or backstory to capoeira. So they essentially, I guess, incorporated that dancing style to make people think that they weren't actually training.
Exactly that. It was a very, very interesting history that you had to understand and had to train many, many years. In terms of fighting right off the bat, it's not the most efficient. However, the beauty with, understanding the philosophy and why certain things happen, and even the songs and the music they sing became very, very subtle messages that they could deliver to each other about the police approaching, or an intruder entering the circle or the group. And I'll give you an example. If we're sitting here and we hear the fire alarm go off, no one's got to go on a PA system and tell us there's a fire in the building. And that's the same mentality they start having, right? Which is really, really efficient and really, really good up until this day. And there's also a huge theory and a belief that when they wanted to start a new life for themselves and they started moving up north, which is, this was predominantly South America, they started moving up towards New York and whatnot. They obviously were doing a lot of the fighting, the kicking, the said, whoa. It was around that era where it was all like, peace, dude. Love, or that kind of right.
Yeah.
And so they said, okay, we're going to be able to cater to that. And they took away all the violence, put that aside, and they kept all the stuff which showcased the dynamics of the body, showcasing the balance, the flores, or the all the cool fluid moves and the cirque du soleil kind of moves and the acrobatic gymnastic aspect of it. And it was on the street. Where was it born? In New York, where everything, movies and music videos were all being filmed, and breakdance was born.
Wow. Okay, so breakdance even has a heritage. Capoeira played a role into that, which makes complete sense when you think about a lot of those moves on the mat, on the floor, types of moves. That's amazing. I'll just call it shouting out Tina here. She's I Live, Laugh, Love Always. As said, she's only could pop in for a moment. Denise's family uni grad. Well, congratulations to hello to Dorat, HR Kuwait, Mimia, Andrea, Donahue.
That are tuning in from my side. I know it's a weekday for you, and a lot of you just started going back to work. So I know it's kind of brought the bomb on, but maybe it's going to be online for after.
Definitely, yeah. So I mean, great thanks for everybody who's joining us live, but there will be the replay. So for all of you guys who are watching, guys and girls watching later, thank you for also tuning in. It's just a fascinating story. I love Jackie Chan, so. I watched your action reel, and I could just see a lot of Jackie Chan in there. Was he a major influence for you?
Absolutely was. It was one of those things where I remember it was a phase when you're younger, when I was younger, and I was going through the Turtles, like the Ninja Turtles and the Power Rangers, and a bunch of the cartoons, I'd say. And then it was the very first time I came across a Jackie Chan movie, and I was like, well, you could actually do that kind of stuff. Wow, that's insane. That's someone I aspire to be. And I think it would be amazing if one day I get to work with him. Right. Yeah. And there goes my friends. Yeah, Jackie Chan, why? What's so special? If you could work with him weekend, my dad's like, yeah, okay, cool. Right. And never gave up. That's the biggest thing. If anyone's going to take one thing before they sign out today or sign off today, is listen to that little voice in the back of your head or deep down in your heart, and just put in the time, the effort, the sweat, the blood, no shortcuts. And every no, don't take it personal. Just take it as a different way to figure your way around that obstacle. And that's basically how I ended up being able to work with Jackie Chan and his team, and create that. I guess the demo reel, like the one you saw. It wasn't like, oh, he's gonna choose me or he's gonna work with me. It was over 20 years of martial arts, and no shortcuts at all. Like I said, no budget films, zero budget films, and little things here and there where people can, if they're going to take that chance on you or invest any time or effort. If you're an agent that's going to represent me, obviously the first thing's like, okay, so show me something, right? Show them something, then, right? Yeah. So it's such a blast working with Jackie and the crew. Yeah. There was the one on top of some of this, like the spinning kicks and with like the capoeira style sort of roundhouse kick. What's the name for that, by the way? I'm sure it has an official name. For the moves. Well, the capoeira, it's one like it's like a spinning kick, like quite a high, sort of like a roundhouse sort of style kick. Like to be even happy. I'll step back here. Go for it. I'll wait here while you demonstrate.
God, no. Yeah, my body was that limber, but
I mean, there's tons of spinning kicks in capoeira. That's the truth.
yeah.
So they master the art of anti-gravity and momentum.
Yeah.
So really, just based on how you're describing it, it could be an armada, which is what they call it, or another one, which is a parafuso. And both of them, one of them translates to a screw because it looks like a screw that's spinning, right? So once again, it's one of those things where every move or every person has a nickname or a description that fits the action or a trait or characteristic.
Yeah. There was a few of those, but I think one of the things I thought was very Jackie Chan was you were in a fight scene and then you jump on a couch and then you jump backwards doing the splits over the top of the person. Just one of those kind of crazy things you don't see coming. And Jackie Chan, he's always had that combination of, like, I guess his skill that he has in his, his drunken fighting and all that sort of thing. But it's also just, I guess, the playful side is the comedic sort of piece,
Exactly.
Like I watched one, I can't remember what it was, but it was just on late night one night, and he was chewing gum the whole time, and it was all these crazy things that happened, like where he'd be like facing the door, he'd spit the gum out, bounce it off the door into his mouth again, he'd bounce it off the roof, he'd bounce it off the head of someone who was fighting on stage, and you're just going, what? What's going on here?
Yeah, if there's one thing he's really showcased was using your environment. That's one of the things that made it beautiful, because you saw a stool, and if it was a Bruce Lee movie or a Jean-Claude Van Damme, or if it was anyone else, you're like, they'll probably smash someone into it or grab the chair and smash them with it. But Jackie, you're like, I wonder how he's going to use this mop or this broom or this, cucumber or something along the pan, right? Everything, which is very unique, and it kind of reminds me of one of the main things that he said when Bruce Lee died, and he was one of the stunt people that Bruce actually fought. And obviously Bruce Lee had such a successful career, and he paved the road for a lot of people, and everyone was Bruce Lee, Bruce Law, Bruce Lee, Bruce Lee's. It was basically trying to follow these huge footsteps that he left, and Jackie was one of them. And if you watch Fearless Hyena and a lot of his earlier movies, it was very intense. And he's like, people are always going to compare us to the original. Yeah. And then he created that style, which was very Buster Keaton and like a Mr. Bean kind of environment to it. And he said, I don't want to be the next Bruce Lee. I want to be the first Jackie Chan. And that's when he started to shine. That's so good. I love that. I love that statement right there, because it's something that I bang on about a lot. And I guess it's one of the things that probably, if a character trait or something that I look for in people that is going to win them over, to me, is if they're sincere and they're down to earth and they're themselves, right? Because it's so competitive out there in the world. Like, I've worked in a bunch of corporate roles, and you're selling different products and things like that, and they'll say they've got this unique value proposition, but it's really the same value proposition that somebody else has, or maybe 10 different companies have. It's not that different. And but the one thing that we do have in the entire world that's unique is ourselves. And so if you're not your true self and you're not showing people who you really are, you're robbing yourself and the world. People love to see it. People love when people are vulnerable and they actually open up, they show who they are. I think it's super important. Exactly. I definitely agree with everything you said, in a sense that people need to see that you bleed, and people need to see that you feel pain for them to relate to you. Right? If perfect, and I get it, with social media sometimes it's hard, because people get to choose typically their best moments. So I get it. It's definitely something where it's beautiful to showcase, your downs, and it shows you've been broken and you've been hurt, or you've come from nothing and you've become something, right? And these are the stories where people start to respect you, because they're like, okay, it's not just luck. It's not just they had money. It's not just they had a connection, or their uncle was so-and-so, right? So as long as you put in that time, as long as you put in that effort, and you show them the struggle. I'll tell you something I was just talking to two people about last night, where we grew up with this person, and now he's doing fairly well for himself.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh man, you know, it's really sad to see how he treats a lot of the people that stood by him when he was
Right.
nobody.
Yeah.
And you know, I was like, you know, with me, I was having this conversation with a bunch of other friends, and I said, typically they look at you and they say, when you go big and you're all Hollywood and you're working with all these big names, the Stallones and Jackie Chan's, don't forget me. And I said, I will never forget you. I will never replace you. In fact, I need you because you're a living, walking, talking proof that I did all these pro bono things, and I did my TFCD. Remember when it was time for print and time for CD, you actually got the CDs and everything. I was like, I need you guys, because if anyone says, oh, he just popped out of nowhere and all of a sudden he's shooting this movie with Jackie Chan and John Cena, or he did this video game with Stallone, it wasn't about luck. It was about 20 years underwater before I had one little gasp of air.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's very interesting you say that.
100%. Yeah, no, I've got a lot of admiration for everybody in the creative sphere, because it is a hard thing to do, but it's not impossible. And that's the thing, you know, like when I decided to ditch my corporate career, you know, about 18 months ago, and was trying to forge my way into kind of getting into filmmaking, and just doing little video jobs, but like, you know, I did a short film with some people as a DP, and was kind of just getting to the point of thinking, okay, this is going to finally become profitable. And then the coronavirus came in and just smashed things. And I tried to shift and pivot and what have you, and find people, you know, who's going to be selling more. Just wasn't happening. And then ultimately, though, it's sort of a blessing in disguise, because it led me to, I guess, what I'm doing now, which is starting this social enterprise called Flicks for Good, which is a video streaming service that will give half the profit, at least half the profit, away to different causes, nominated by the subscribers. And the whole goal is to raise money and awareness for people in causes in need. So trying to turn entertainment into a vehicle for good rather than just making a bunch of people super rich. But I don't want to segue into like a big ad for Flicks for Good, but that's what I'm doing. But it's amazing, like
that's great. That's fantastic, actually. That's really good.
Yeah, it is exciting. We can talk more about it. Later. Like, so I'm gearing up for a big crowdfunding initiative. So that's the ultimate goal, and I'm trying to document my story, and I'm calling it 0 to 1 billion. So basically, # 0 to 1 billion. And what I'm trying to do is to go from $0, 0 subscribers, you know, basically pretty much just a nobody on the Sunshine Coast here in Australia, to having $1 billion and 1 billion subscribers. So I'm just going to ask people to donate $1 and then just share it with people, but not just share it in a post where nobody pays attention, like actually call people and like talk to people and what have you, and create a movement and do something like where the people actually help create the product, you know, and we can compete head to head with the big guys. So that's sort of the dream, and that's the goal. That's what we're working on. And that's, I guess, part of why I'm running this series, is because, yeah, I love film, and of course, at some stage, I'm going to hopefully be working with different directors. The dream is to be able to, you know, help other people realize their dreams by providing them with dollars to go out, make movies, give them a fair platform to, you know, make money on and not get ripped off, and just do it all in a really transparent way and have as much fun as possible on the journey. But the reason I started rambling on about that is when I first said to my friends, oh, you know, I'm going to try and become a director, you know, everybody just thinks, like, thought I was crazy. And I'm like, but what you got to realize is that, you know, everybody you know of who's famous, Richard Branson or whoever, like, they are just human beings, you know, like, we all start the same. So there's no reason why you can't become that person. So I really admire, you know, what you're talking about, and I could even read that in looking at your story is yeah, like, you've had like 18 years of kind of doing what you've been doing to then get to the point where, you know, you start to win some accolades and the breakout sort of success and all these sort of cool things. So let's go back to, you mentioned something interesting. You said, like, you referred to it as a breath of air. And hello to everybody. I'll just do a quick shout out to Baralia, Tazito Garcia, my role model, my brother. It's me, Nazar. Okay. Mima, John Ori with the rack on display. He's got the body out there. author of Dorowski, 22 Cassie, to everybody who's there. Thank you for joining us live. So we're just about to talk about, I guess, after all the hard work of the early years and making films for $0, which I do want to touch on too, but what was the breath of air? Like, what was that moment that you kind of felt like, oh, okay, I think
Oh, so sorry, sort of sorry, not sorry. I'm going to do an Australian Idol, American Idol, whatever, where it gets to the exciting part and then they stop and it goes to an ad break. We're not going to go to the ad break, so we'll spare you that. But we have just hit half an hour. I said I would break this into 2 pieces, and I want it to appear as half an hour and not be so scary for people that see an hour and there's like, ah. Now, on that note, you can always watch things in pieces, right? You don't have to watch the whole thing. Or if you have YouTube Red, which I believe I don't know, I think they've just punted me back on there for free at the moment. They told me it's for free, so better not just roll into a contract. You can stream this as an audio, just the same as you could if you were doing podcasts, etc. Anyway, thanks for joining me for Flicks for Friday, Episode 2, Reboot, Part 1. Have a great weekend, guys, and don't be shy to reach out. You can find me on Instagram at Brad4Good, Brad the number 4 good, and of course you can make contact here or on YouTube or LinkedIn. I'm on all of those places. All right, take care, or a good old Aussie farewell. Hooroo.